Hello and good evening. For today, we are going to focus on Bio 221 or plant diversity. We're going to look at how plants evolved from the marine water to the plants we see on land water. Yeah. So that's today's work. So, and our introduction is the introduction to plant evolution and phylogenetics. Phylogenetics. Yeah, phylums. That's today's focus. So let's dive into it. Let's dive deep into it. Automate grain evolution, primary endosymbiosis. Symbiosis. So what this word mean by endosymbiosis means a cyanobacterium was engulfed by a eukaryotic cell. So a cyanobacterium was engulfed, but instead of being digested, the bacterium became an endosymbiote. So which means the eukaryote and the bacteria became one, working hand in hand. Yeah. It evolved into a chloroplast, transferring its photosynthetic genes to the host nucleus. So cyanobacteria are what we call chlorophyll. Yeah, they are chloroplasts. So when the two became symbiotes, the cyanobacterium transferred its chloroplast to the eukaryotic nucleus. This single event gave a rise to the entire Archaeoplastida supergroup, which includes the Rhodophyida, Chlorophyida, and land plants. Yeah. So what we take from this is that 1.5 billion years ago, a eukaryotic cell and a cyanobacterium, eukaryotic cell engulfed, it swallowed. So let me try to do a visual presentation. So you should focus on the red. Yeah. So let's say this is a eukaryote. It swallowed this cyanobacterium. So instead of this, the bacterium inside being digested, they became one hand in hand, and this is the chloroplast right here inside. Yeah. So this is the eukaryotic cell, this is a bacteria, and this is the chloroplast. So what they did was they made one thing, they became symbiotes or endosymbiotes, which means inside. So we look at the lineage, the major lineage of Archaeoplastida. Not all photosynthetic eukaryotes are plants. Not all photosynthetic eukaryotes are plants. This course focuses on the green lineage. So we focus on eukaryotes, but not all eukaryotes are plants. There are some which are animals, right? So we focus on the green parts. Yeah, we focus on the plant parts. So we have rhodophyta or red algae, which is mostly marine and has a complex life cycle. It has a red pigment. Then we have also chlorophyta or green algae. It includes aquatic ancestral land plants like Domonas, yeah. And we have Streptophyta. This clade includes the green algae and mostly concentrated to embryophytes, land plants. So here we're just talking about the lineage of Archaea plastida, which showed us that we have rhodophyta or red algae, we have chlorophyta or green algae, and we have streptophyta. So the challenge, so why should they move to the land? Because the road was harsh, the terrestrial road was harsh. So new frontiers, now the risk was one, dying out, and then two, UV radiation. You know what, since coming on land, so this was a challenge for these plants to be found on land. One, they risked dying out, first of all. And then two, UV radiation, which means no water to filter it since they will be on land, so the sun will be shining upon them. Yeah. So now in the marine water, there is water to help filter out radiation. We have gravity, and because lack of support, these if you've seen algae, it has no support. There's no root stem system and whatnot. And then resource acquisition. It wasn't certain that the nutrients and water, since they are separate, the water in soil, CO2, and light in the air. So now, how will they get? And then the other major issue was reproduction, because remember, for what's this fertilization to happen in plants, you need what? Water. Sperm have to swim to the egg. So now on the problem was that if they migrate to the land, the challenge is that how they reproduce, because on land the water is separate from, yeah. So now how would fertilization take place? How would they reproduce? So these were the challenges which they faced. To say if they evolve from the marine waters, they risk to what? That risk drying out, they risk UV radiation because there was no foot out. Gravity, they had no root system, they had no vascular system, no stem, stems. They had no areas. And then the resources in water, all the nutrients are in the water. Now on land, the water is in the soil, CO2 and light are in the air. So now how will they navigate through this? And then that was reproduction. So these were the challenges which were faced by the marine plants as they are trying to evolve out of it. But yet again, there is also this. This also the best thing why move to land. Number one is the opportunities. They are the white and despite the challenges which they faced on land, the opportunities, sunlight was abundant and unfiltered by water, so it was always there. And CO2 is very high on land than in water. Carbon dioxide on land is very high than in water, and it diffuses faster in air. Mhm. Nutrients initially rich and colonized soils. Habitat accessible. Vast amount of empty habitat. The land is very big, so the habitat is there. And fewer herbivores and predators. Initially, a lack of terrestrial consumers. So these were the benefits of them coming on the land on the surface. So innovation to adapt to land. One, multicellular mitochondria. So organs that produce and protect gametes. They had to be multicellular if they are, when they were adapting to land. The antheridium, which is the male gamete, mitochondrium produces and protect the sperms. So that the antheridium was kept towards the male gametophagium. And then the archegonium, which is a female gametophagium, protects the single eggs. So this allows, so the significance of this to be multicellular, it allows for sexual reproduction without free water surrounding the gametes, a critical step for life on land. So when during the adaptation, they developed multicellular gametophagia where the antheridium and archegonium are separate. It allowed for sexual reproduction without the water surrounding it for them to survive on land. So that was the one of the key ways they were adapting on land. They developed multicellular mutation. Another, alternation of generation. They define the life cycle of all land plants. They have haploid, which is A, which means one, gametophyte, multicellular generation that produce gametes, sperms and eggs by mitosis, so which means they replicate through themselves. These directly themselves, mitosis. And diploids, two, sporophytes. Multicellular generation produced by haploid spores by meiosis. So there's mitosis, meiosis. So the cycle of fertilization is n plus 1 is equal to 2n, and meiosis is 2n. So mitosis gives us 2n, while meiosis gives from 2 you have 1. They alternate between two generations. So the formula for fertilization mitosis is this one. Then for meiosis is this one. So this was the another way of adapting. They developed one haploid gametophyte and then also diploid sporophyte. And evolutionary trend, the generation shift. So in bryophytes, for example, mosses, the gametophyte is dominant. Yeah. So if you go there, the gametophyte is the part with mitosis. Yeah. Is dominant. The green photosynthetic plants that we see. So we all see the bryophytes. Yeah. The gametophyte is dominant. The sporophyte is small and dependent. In vascular plants, it defends trees. The sporophyte is dominant, which means meiosis is dominant in the sporophyte. So why is it like this? The diploid sporophyte can carry two copies of each gene, allowing for greater genetic diversity and adaptability. So the reason diploid sporophyte can carry two copies of each gene, allowing for greater genetic diversity and adaptability. The gametophyte is just itself, while for the sporophyte, it's two different genes coming together to form one. So you have that one gene is going to have two set of genes, while the one in mitosis will only have the same genes. So that's the reason for why in biophytes they have the gametophyte dominant, and the vascular plants defends sporophyte dominant. Another is the word spore or sporopollen. So this is the spores that are produced in a sporangium. Their walls are hardened with sporopollen. This is the importance is that sporopollen is one of the most durable organic polymers known. It protects spores from drying out, UV radiation, and physical damage. So that's why the word spore or sporopollen is the one of the most durable. So circle these words, organic polymers. So this thing, the reason it is made that it makes the walls to protect the spores is because it's made of the most durable organic polymers known. It protects against drying out, UV radiation, and physical damage, allowing for dispersal throughout dry air. This is why spores can move at a very huge distance and still dominate. It's because of this sporopollen. Then polygenetic tree of life, map of evolution. Polygen, the evolution history and relationship of organisms. Clade, a group of organisms that include an ancestor and or its descendants. Synapomorphy, a shared derived trait that defines a clade. So this one, it's a group of the ancestor and or its descendants. So for example, your great grandfather, your father, I mean your great grandfather, your grandfather, your father, and then your father, and then you and your generation. That's what we call a clade. Just you and the generation. Yeah. So it's what we call a clade, a group of organisms that include an ancestor and all its descendants. So the great grandfather, grandfather, father, you, and your kid, the child. Yeah, that's what we call a clade. And then synapomorphy, a shared device. So it's the things that are common with you, with your great grandfather, your grandfather, your father, uh, you and your son. So let's say if you all like you all watch soccer. That's a shared trait, or maybe you all play soccer. That's a shared trait. That's what we call sign off for the more fewer by a trait that is shared. So let's say if maybe great grandfather could dance, you could dance, your father can dance, and your child can dance. That's what we call a sign for morpheo, whereby a shades a trait that is shared. So, for example, in birds, I mean feathers in birds. Yeah. So if you find that all birds are feathers, despite the chickens, reckless birds, are delicious, and we also have eagles. Yeah, they are both classified as birds, but so their physical trait is that they are what feathers. Yeah, that's how they operate. It's quite different. So the plant kingdom, a polygenetic overview. Let's look at the overview. The, this tree shows the major evolutionary transitions. So we have streptophyta, streptophyta algae, a sister group to land plants, share thermoplastic cell division. We have also non-vascular plants, bryophytes. They lack true vascular system. Then we have vascular plants, which possess the xylem and phloem. These ones, they lack the xylem and phloem. Then seed-free vascular plants produce biospores. So this is the overview. We have the sister to the land plants, the streptophyta algae. Then we have the non-vascular plants. So from this, we came to this. Then from this, came to, and from the non-vascular plants, we came to vascular plants. We are introduced to the phloem and the xylem. Then from this, that's why we introduced now to spore. From it, spore reproduction via spores. Then seed plants as well. They produce via seeds. Let's look at the biophytes first. The biophytes include liverworts, mosses, and hornworts. The key feature is that they lack true vascular system. They don't have the xylem and phloem. The dominant phase is the gametophyte generation, which means production is via mitosis, which means the production of a single gene. Yeah. Then it has the flagellated sperms. Require what? So these ones have the the sperm has a flagella. So it helps it navigate to the egg. So it requires water. So its role in ecology is that pioneers and also soil farmers and water retainers. So these ones are very good water retainers. Yes, and soil formers. Soil formers. So what you must know is that about the biophyte is that one, they lack true vascular tissues, the phloem and xylem. Two, the dominant stage is the gametophyte generation, which means production is via mitosis. And three, the sperms are flagellated, so they contain flagella. So which means water will be involved for it to move from point A to point B to point point B. So which means the sperms will, the flagellated sperm will require water for it to move from point A to point B. So these ones are good at forming soils and also retaining water. Let's look at the theriodophytes. Theriodophyte or seed-free vascular plants. These ones don't have seeds. This includes Lycophyta, club mosses, Melilophytes, and ferns and hostels. The key feature is that they have the vascular system, which means these ones have the phloem and the xylem. So what these do is that they transport water and minerals. What the xylem does, it transports water and minerals, provides structural support. It has iglu. Yeah. So it provides water and mineral. So this is where water and minerals are transported in plants. Yeah, water and mineral, because it has a strong component called iglu, which helps support and also supports the shape the plant itself. And then another part of the vascular system is the phloem. It transports sugar and nutrients. Yeah, it transports sugar and nutrients. So the phloem for sugar and nutrients, the xylem for water. The importance of this is that it allows for taller growth, greater size, and more complex body plans. Sporophyte is dominant. So the production is via mitosis. It's via meiosis or meiosis, yeah, which means two genes coming together. Then the gymnosperms, these ones include coniferous, gymnophytes. The key for these ones, they have seeds. So contain a dominant embryo, stored food and protective coat. Allows for dispersal over long distance and dormant until conditions are favorable. So these ones can release their spores at a very long distance, and these spores cannot watch this, cannot die over. They wait for until there is a favorable condition for them to reproduce, for them to grow into a fruit tree. So these ones can disperse for over a long distance. And you must know these ones are seed bearing, they are seeds. We have the what? Angiosperms, or the flowering plants. So the flowers and the fruits. Specialized structure for sexual reproduction, often using animal pollinators. This is where the bees come in. Yeah, the bees. A fruit mature ovary that protects seed and adds there in the aids in their dispersal. For example, guavas. Yeah. Guavas, is a protective layer and the seeds are inside. So if you eat the guavas after digestion, most of the seeds don't be digested. Yeah. So when you use the toilets or you go in the bush, you do your business, you answer the call of nature. Over if the conditions become favorable, those seeds will become what? A full plant. So the purpose of these angiosperms is that they lead to a co-evolution of animals, lead to explosion of diversity. So this is how the bees pollinate the flowers. Yeah, there is a co-evolution. So the bees have the Yes. So here's the evolutionary journey. We have the aquatic ancestor, which is the streptophyta or algae. We have the land, so the bryophytes were the first one to evolve on the land through the gametangia and spores. And then we have the vascular evolution, the formation of the xylem and phloem, enabling for plants to grow tall. Then we have the seeds evolution, evolving for a larger disperse so that the seeds can be moved from place to another. And then we have the one we love, the angiosperms, which are effective for the production, they bear fruits and whatnot. So this is a recap of our journey. So from aquatic, we came to land. So this is how plants, first they were aquatic ancestors, the chlorophyta, and then we came to the land colonizers, the bryophyte, and then from bryophytes, vascular system evolved. We had the pteridophytes. Then from pteridophyte, we had the gymnosperms. From gymnosperms, we had the flowering plants, the angiosperms. So this is the evolutionary from aquatic to land, land to vascular. So from land, they started now growing to the vascular system. From that system, started now to displace seeds. Yeah, started making a seed coating. Then from there, started being a co-dominance with, co-relationship with animals. So that's how it came about. And why this matters, understanding plants polygyny is not, don't just memorize, you must know the function related to plant often share function traits. You also, when you're studying drought and resistance, you must know what type of plants you're looking at, and also biodiversity, how species are related, and how you can prioritize and ecosystem processes, the evolution of the history of the floral influence and how entire ecosystem function, and also response to change, how plants can respond to change, how they move from the marine waters to land, then from land they acquired vascular system, then from vascular system they acquired seed formation, from seed formation now they are flowering plants. And that's the end of our lecture on plants and their evolution. Yeah, we look at more of this in depth with other lectures. Thank you for joining and thank you for watching. Have a blessed night.